Warren, did I see you?
Yeah, two questions. You say you don't have a readout of a call today between Secretary Austin and Minister Gallant. Do we expect the pace of calls to continue as it has? And is there something the Secretary wanted to convey to Gallant in person that cannot be conveyed in a phone call? Meaning, is there, in other words, will the in-person meeting simply turn into a phone call now that it's delayed? And do you have any sense of how long it's being delayed?
I don't have a sense of how long Minister Gallant's visit has been postponed. I refer you to the Israeli Ministry of Defense to speak to that. No, there's nothing that can't be discussed over the phone that can be discussed in person. Certainly in-person visits allow for just, deepening of the relationship, being in person. The question that Lita had asked me was, has the Secretary spoken to Minister Gallant today? And I just am not aware of any call that has taken place. That being said, there always could be one that lands on the books for later today, later this week, next week. I think you know that they remain in regular touch. Say about that. Yes, Charlie.
I'm curious to know who initiated Gallant's visit here to begin with. Was he beckoned by the Secretary of Defense, or was it maybe his idea that maybe they needed to have a face-to-face?
I don't think the Secretary of Defense beckons anyone. This was a visit that was scheduled by Minister Gallant, and of course the Secretary would always love to host him at the Pentagon, and that's what we were going to do tomorrow. The visit's been postponed, and we'll work with Minister Gallant's office, should his trip be rescheduled to a later date. I'm sure the Secretary would be happy to host him again at the Pentagon.
But it was Minister Gallant's idea to come visit.
Minister Gallant was traveling to the U.S. and the Secretary welcomed him to the Pentagon to host him here for a bilateral meeting. Joe.
Thank you, Sabrina. I guess you are aware of some reports are saying that Prime Minister Netanyahu asked Minister Gallant not to go to Washington. I guess you are aware of that, and if you have anything to say in regards to those reports.
Thanks for the question. I am aware of those reports, and I think I'm going to stay out of Israeli politics.
I mean, would you rule out such a thing between U.S.-Israel relations?
I don't have any comment on the reporting that's coming out of the region. What I can tell you is that the Secretary has a great relationship with Minister Gallant. I think they've now spoken probably over 80 times, ballpark. They remain in constant communication, whether it be an in-person meeting here or, meetings, phone calls that need to be done remote. That relationship still maintains and can be done, at any time, any place in the world, including when the Secretary is back on, has been on travel and taken calls, over the Mid-Atlantic.
Okay. My last question is, we all know that Secretary Austin was planning to go to Israel, and then he canceled it. And then now Minister Gallant was planning to come to the Pentagon tomorrow, and then it got postponed. Can we say, is it fair to say that there are kind of tension between both Secretary Austin and Minister Gallant?
No, to the contrary. I mean, I would push back on that. I don't think there's tension. I don't think, you can have frank, you can have direct conversations with your friends. You're not always going to agree on everything, but that doesn't mean that there's tensions. I certainly wouldn't read into anything there.
So, they're not on the same page. Can we say that?
Could you expand on what you mean by they're not on the same page?
I mean, in regards to, let's say, in regards to how Israel is going to strike back on Iran.
What I will tell you, Joe, is that we are talking to them about their response. I wouldn't read too much into that, other than that's all I'm going to be able to say at this moment. Fadi.